DOE data shows that there are currently over 12,000 Queens high school students who must commute out of the borough of Queens because there are no high school seats for them in Queens. Because Queens, we have some of the most overcrowded high schools here in the borough. In addition, our high schools are overcrowded by nearly 9,000 students, more than any other borough by far, which means Queens needs more than 21,000 new high school seats, equivalent to 10 to 15 high schools. But the SCA has actually reduced the number of planned new Queens high schools from 5 years ago to currently just 3 in the latest capital plan. No other borough can compare with Queens in terms of the lack of investment by the DOE and SCA in building high schools. Moreover, because Queens has many transportation deserts, our students face by far the longest commutes of any borough to attend high school. These overcrowded conditions and long commutes directly affect the academic performance, safety, and physical and mental well-being of Queens high school students. Will both the chancellor and the borough president commit to building the dozen or so high schools that Queens needs by the end of the decade? I could say that the Queens Borough President meets with the president of the School Construction Authority. He has something called the War Room. As a matter of fact, the meeting is being scheduled and will be scheduled. And that's one of the things that we discuss all the time is school overcrowding. The whole reason why that actually started, the War Room started back in the time of Claire Schulman many years ago. Where they would work together with the School Construction Authority. And so that continued on with Melinda Katz, and then with Sharon Lee, and now with Borough President Donovan Richards as well, where we literally sit down and we go over district by district by district and the needs, and we work together to get more schools out. So we have had those talks, and those talks will continue as well with the SCA. The borough president is and he's fully aware of the overcrowding here in the borough, and he is very dedicated to getting more seats in the borough. So just want to hand this over to DOE for your portion of the question. I know that there's a 3,000. Yeah, there's a 3,000 seat that's going to be opening up in the Woodside Avenue site. We just want to work with the DOE so that we can figure out, what school will go there. And, when we work together as a team, it just works better because we get a lot of feedback from the parents and from education council. So if we work together as a team, it just, it's really terrific. And it trickles down, of course, to the student, and then everybody's just happy. So.
Yeah, no, thanks, Monica. And Rebecca and others may want to jump in on this, but we're acutely aware that we've got overcrowded schools in Queens in particular, not just in Queens, but a lot in Queens. And we know, look, we're coming in, inheriting a capital plan where, as you mentioned, Monica, there are plans to add seats, including, I think, something like 4,500 high school seats in Queens, and maybe 14,000 elementary, middle school seats. We've got some large buildings that are going up. None of that helps you if you've got a child, and many of us, including me, are parents in New York City public school students. None of that is much comfort to you if your child is in an overcrowded school right now. So we hear that. We're committed to doing everything we can to make sure that we maintain quality in our schools and that all students are getting a personalized experience as much as possible. And so that means adding a lot of staff, social workers, teachers, administrators, making sure that no child falls through the cracks, and then doing as much as we can, as quickly as we can, to alleviate the overcrowding by adding more seats. Rebecca, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think you captured it. I think just to reiterate, this is the current capital plan is the largest ever, totaling $20.6 billion. That includes more than 20,000 seats funded for Queens. And as the first deputy chancellor mentioned, there are actually over 6,000 in process right now, including some that were funded in the previous capital plan, which includes the 3,000 seat high school on Northern Boulevard, as well as the new 800 seat high school building that was just announced on Hillside Avenue, with the anticipated opening date of September 2026. So we're looking forward to continuing to partner with parents and other stakeholders to plan for all the upcoming new capacity. And I also want to note that when we do have opportunities to open new schools and incubate while we await new capacity, we certainly pursue those opportunities. So there's a proposal right now being voted on tomorrow night by the panel for educational policy to open one of the schools that will go to the Northern Boulevard site eventually in September 2022 to help address some of the overcrowding as quickly as we can.
Thank you. Okay, there's another question. Queens high schools, they're very overcrowded, but the high schools have very few college counselors. Some of them have one, some of them have two, and we're talking about some high schools have like 4,000 students. You know, we have Francis Lewis High School's overcrowded, Forest Hills High School's overcrowded, Benjamin Cardoza High School's overcrowded. So what is the DOE doing to hire more college counselors? Because I know that, you know, in the prior administration, there was this, you know, a priority to help students get into college. But if you don't have enough college counselors, then that initiative really doesn't go anywhere. So what is this administration going to do? Are they going to be hiring more? Is that something that they're looking into?
Yeah, it's a great question, Monica. Thank you for the question. And you know, certainly we're not going to promise that anything's going to change on that overnight. However, you heard the chancellor talk about our North Star, which is making sure that every single young person coming through our schools leaves high school not just with a diploma, but with a clear pathway to long-term economic security. You can't do that if you don't have anybody advising a young person, particularly could be a young person who comes from a home where he or she would be the first generation college student. So we're going to have to provide that support, not just for college, but also for career pathways. We want our young people to know while they are in high school and even in middle school, what are the career pathways that are going to put them on a path to a middle-class lifestyle and long-term economic security. And we all know in our city, with the high cost of living, you know, that means you got to be making a very good salary, probably a six-figure salary if you want to have a family. So, you know, we will need supports. We will provide more supports in high school and in middle school to make that promise come to life. Again, that's going to include college, so our young people know what their options are in college, but it's also going to include career as well.
Great. And talking about college and career, there's a question here. Is there a process for identifying what good schools are doing so as to support schools to scale, sustain, and restore what is working in schools, particularly in School District 29? So in School District 29, there's a school called Pathways College Preparatory School, and it's a really terrific school. I know the principal. I've been there, Mr. Hazley. And they're doing terrific work. 96% of the students graduate, and this year they're slated for 99%. Most of them go to college. And the unfortunate part is that even though students are taking college credit, right, they just need that designation to get that associate's degree. So how can the DOE work with that school? Because frankly, in that district, they don't have a school you know, where they can get an associate's degree. I mean, parents would save so much money. And I know that District 29 right now is a little bit in the microscope, in the eye of the chancellor. So, you know, I just want to ask and use this space, you know, if the DOE can please visit that school and see all the terrific work that they're doing there. And please consider for them to have that designation, to have that associate's degree where kids can graduate, because they just need the funding for that. And I know that there's a lot of funding that was allocated to the Department of Education. I believe is in the billions. So if that's, you know, if I know you guys are going to be allocating a lot of money, and, you know, we just want to ask that that school be considered.
Hey, Monica, could you just give me I didn't catch the name of the school.
Sure.
Make sure we get that down.
Thank you so much. It's called Pathways College Preparatory High School. I can email you the principal's information.
We'll definitely get out there, and we'll love it. It sounds like they're doing great work, and yeah, if the young people do the work, it's such a win to have an associate's degree before you leave high school. And I'm just going to say, talking to parents around the city, there's very little that gets them more excited and more positive about than the idea of their child getting college credits before they graduate high school, saving money on tuition, as you say, Monica, potentially getting an associate's degree that they can then use to get a good job or to shorten their college experience. So this is something we are very, very interested in. And you talk about scaling. This is exactly the kind of program that we would like to scale. So I can't wait to learn more.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Deputy Chancellor. And also, they also have a lot of physical challenges as a building, because even for them to do a Zoom meeting, the electrical outlets go out because they need a complete electrical upgrade in the building because it's an old building. They need that. And there's other issues also in the cafeteria, in the ceilings of the cafeteria where kids eat and parts of the ceiling. I mean, I went there this week and I almost fell back. I used to work for the School Construction Authority years ago as a borough manager for Queens. So I've been in almost every single school in Queens, but that one, when I saw the ceiling, I'd never seen a ceiling like that in a cafeteria. So if that can please be revisited as well.
Well, I see Kevin taking a lot of notes, and so we will get out there right away to take a look at that, and anyone who has those sorts of experiences where you're seeing facilities that kids really shouldn't be in, please let us know right away.